calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
The police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up, giddy up. Welcome to Failure to Stop Podcast, the #1 show where police beat society and culture. It's Meetup Week, baby. You have called into the Nightshift show. We got Andrea Uplate, as always. But we have a special guest on the One More and I'm Outta Here podcast crew. We are joined today for our live podcast Meetup Palooza ×2. And we have Jay Kiefer from One More I'm Outta Here podcast in studio with me to deliver a story that only a firefighter could tell about a horrific firefighter story. And so, Andrea, I don't want you to be nervous, but Andrea Uplate, the true crime queen. If you didn't know, if you're tuning in to this podcast channel, we do have the podcast queen, the true crime queen, with us. She's going to be judging you, dude, and seeing how she is basic white girl who does nothing but listen to true crime podcasts and has a true crime podcast here on the Fair Stop channel. This one, all she does is true crime. So if you jack this up, dude, you're pretty much, it would be like, I don't know, dude, it'd be like Nolan Ryan letting you throw one pitch. And you fucking threw it over the rafters.
And he threw and
that is terrible. No pun intended, threw that one. This is all terrible.
So
she's been judging me all day. I've been waiting for it.
Don't be nervous. But we've got a hell of a meetup going on. People are flying in tonight. We got a nice little house full of folks in the studio. They're out there watching us on the YouTubes, on the TVs out there. Deadleg Media flew in from Colorado. Will Cray and TJR both met for the very first time on the same plane. What are the odds, dude? We have a meetup in North Carolina. These two dudes get on an airplane, and it was like they knew each other were Wolfpack. They were like, yo, are you Wolfpack? And the other guy was like, wait, are you Wolfpack? And then they were like, arr! And then they couldn't stop howling in the airport.
Front of the plane to the back of the plane.
Yeah, the marshals were like, you gotta cut that out. You can't. This is an air.
I sincerely hope none of that happened. But hey,
what's that?
No, well, I knew they came together, but legitimately, I knew they came in like flew in together. But did they legitimately know? Huh?
No, they did not know.
Yeah, but did they know each other?
No, they didn't know. They were getting on the same plane. I don't know. I didn't really get the specifics on maybe it was a T-shirt that gave it away or what it was that gave it away. But they were able to determine that they were both going to North Carolina for the Failure to Stop One More and I'm Outta Here podcast meetup. And so that was pretty freaking cool. We picked them up in the shuttle, the Failure to Stop shuttle mobile. And we got to hear the whole story. And then, so they're from Minnesota. We've got Deadleg from Colorado that flew in. John from fucking South Dakota or something.
That's cool.
All the dudes from Cincinnati, Ohio.
We've
got, we got David J, who's always in the chats. He came in from Santiago. So everybody's drinking brewskis out there and hanging out so far in the meetups tomorrow. So we're really excited. For those of you just tuning in for the very first time.
They're saying in the chats that it was their beards.
Oh, it was the beards? They like, it was like one of those water tongs that
That's what they're
gravitate
saying.
towards water. Yeah, it was their beards. They just gravitated and they twined up. And I think it's actually a porno, one of the subtitles on porn, bearding or something.
You can check that box.
Check that box, yeah. So if you're tuning in for the very first time, we do 5 shows a week now officially on this channel, starting this week, 5 shows. We start off every Monday with all the police news and comedy. It's basically live PD meets Todd McComas on Barstool Sports. If they had a biracial baby together, that would be J. Darrell White and myself. I'll never stop calling him by his fake government name. And Tuesday night, Nightshift, true crime. And then we have Wednesday, all the other news so that you don't sound like an asshole first responder to your civilian friends on Wednesdays. Comm Center every Thursday night with Drew Breesy and Jonathan Bates. And then our flagship Friday breakdowns, which is a very serious show where we break down all the major crimes that are going on. So thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to support the show, very simple. Very simple. One, you can support us by supporting the people who sponsor the show. Tonight's show is brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. It sleeps so good it's scary. Ghostbed could have pretty much solved this crime / ended this crime. We'll get to that later. We'll tell you how just simply having a ghost bed could have prevented all of this from happening. We could have gone back in time. And we'll explain that a little bit later. But we do want to give a big shout out to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. And we love their beds. We love their pillows. We love their sheets. We love everything about them. If you also want to support the show, hit that like and subscribe button on the YouTubes if you're watching it live. 99% of you are listeners on iTunes or Spotify, so you can give us a 5-star rating and review if you would. You can join us on Patreon. You can become a paid YouTube member. Got like 74 something chats going on right now. Lots of stuff. There's lots of ways to participate for free or for paid. Also, we like super chats. People love to give us super chats. That's always cool. We're always in love with that. But that's enough of all of that bullshit. Is there any true crime news or updates that you have? Oh my goodness.
Not a ton.
It's raining super chats. Hold on. It's raining super
chats, not men.
It's they are in the office right now, actually floating super chats, real super chats over my head. Thank you guys so much. That'll go through the beer tap for the night. So just kidding. But thank you guys seriously for all the super chats and everything. That was Davey J dropping fucking mad bones up in here. What is this? Is this Epstein's? He's dropping Epstein's. He's dropping Epstein's. Did you ever see that? It looks like Epstein on the $20 bill. It looks just like Epstein. Anyway, do we have any true crime news updates before we drop in tonight's show? Tonight's show is Robert Fisher, firefighter, family Annihilator.
Ooh, that was really good.
I practiced.
That was really good.
Yes. So not a ton in terms of updates. But Stephen Smith, again, we keep talking about him, the 19-year-old that was found dead in relation to the Murdaughs, or was there relation to the Murdaughs? We don't know. If you remember, his body was exhumed recently for a second autopsy to be performed. They are now pursuing this as a homicide, like we've talked about. They've not given specifics or the actual yet. They have said that some new information that they feel upbeat about, and they feel positive about this information that they got from this autopsy in terms of moving forward with the homicide investigation. So I thought that was interesting. Can you hear me? Are you with me?
I'm 100% with you, dude. We're with you till the bitter
You just said
end.
100%.
Oh, okay. So then let me tell you guys real quick, because tonight we're doing things a little different. We've got, as Eric said a minute ago, we've got Jay Kiefer with us when I'm out of here, and he's actually gonna present the story tonight, or a case tonight, from 2001. It's actually you may have heard of this. The suspect in this case, it is unsolved, so to speak. Was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list for many, many years until recently. So this may be something you've heard of. If not, it's super interesting. I know a little bit about the case. I think Eric's going to react to it as well. And so we'll let him tell the story. But before we do, let's talk some of what's going on in 2001. So I will say that the case that he's going to talk about happened in August.
Lost my virginity in 2001. Andrea.
We've talked about the Sea Turtle Inn. We've already done it. Show him your tattoo.
It was in 2001.
Show him your tattoo.
Right there.
Show him your tattoo.
Bought condoms out of the bathroom.
So it's a
and you got a
good job
tattoo.
being safe. I appreciate that.
2001, dude. Good year. 9/11. Day that'll live in infamy.
So that's what I was going to say. So this case took place in August of 2001. So just prior to September 11th, of course. Okay. So
actually, April.
Some other things
April
that were going on then.
The night that I lost my virginity, like right after that, the Twin Towers fell.
Okay.
Yeah.
The top song was All For You by then. Some of the famous movies were Shrek, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Legally Blonde, Ocean's 11. So some heavy hitters there. Harry Potter was a big craze at that time. Angelina Jolie was kind of at her prime at that time as an actress. Let's see here. Jay Leno was doing his thing. Gilbert Gottfried was still pretty relevant doing his thing there. Alba We've got Rudolph. We got old Giuliani was the person of the year for Time Magazine that year. And so a lot of the little headlines here don't talk about much else. But so we have George Bush, of course, was inaugurated in January of that year. That's it. That kind of takes you back to
2001, baby.
worry about
Carly
what I'm
in the chats just dropped us $5. She said having major FOMO from not being in North Carolina, fear of missing out. You are missing out, Carly. Missing out a lot. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's having a great time. I think Will Cray's got 2 pepperonis over each nipple, 1 pepperoni over each nipple right now. Yeah, you're missing out on this. So this is what true crime does to people that listen to this channel.
just get you
it's
going.
A very, very odd true. We just do true crime just a little bit different than we do first responder shit just a little bit different. Before we jump into tonight's show, right? This is going to be a good one. Again, Robert Fisher, firefighter, family annihilator. I just watched Mortal Kombat with the children, and so do they say that in Mortal Kombat? Annihilated.
That's to finish him.
Oh yeah, finish him. Yeah, and then they say like annihilated.
Oh yeah,
Inferno.
It's been forever since I played that game.
Yeah. We'd like to thank our sponsor, ghostbed.com. So thank you so much, Ghostbed. Ghostbed's been a loyal sponsor for the show since day freaking 1, going on almost 3 years. Ghostbed has sponsored the other shows that I was on Drinking Bros. Followed us over here. They give us our own website now. So it's fairytostop.com/Wolfpack. And the savings have bumped up, folks. The savings have bumped up to 50% off. 40% off of everything else, but 50% off of the bundles where you can get the adjustable base, you can get those massage modes, 0 gravity modes, get all the freaking modes that you want. And I'll tell you what, dude, it's 0% down, 0% financing. If you have firefighter credit, it's a no-brainer. It's literally so good. That's scary. We all sleep on a ghost bed. There'd be less true crime. That's the only thing. That's the only thing about ghost bed is that the more ghost beds that are sold, the less true crime there is.
Would be had.
Yeah. It's like, and a lot less true crime would be reported. I feel like there's some things that might happen on a ghost bed that you would just be like, I didn't want that necessarily, but that ghost bed made it feel that much better.
What you think is a true crime may not be a true crime, but
right. Like there's some things
you
that
just move on down the road.
Something that my wives have done to me on that bed where I'm like, I'm calling the police after this is over. But then I'm like, you know what? This ghost bed is so damn comfortable. I don't even care. Don't even care. So looks like we've lost Andrea for a little bit. That's okay. So
I'm actually excited to actually see Andrea's internet in person, virtually, but from the studio.
It is a sight to be
seeing exactly what happens.
It's a sight to behold. So let's we'll just jump in real quick to this beautiful story. This
love story.
It's actually on your end if we're going to talk about it. Mine's doing good.
Really? Mine's saying 5 bars. Saying 5 bars. Saying I'm good to go. But
so is mine, and I'm hardwired in.
We're not going to argue with you. We know that women are always right.
Well, no, actually, what you get to see now, J. Keefe, is that it's not my internet.
Well, we look good.
I'm seeing from all angles.
Let's do it.
Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
Let's light this up. Let's get this fire started.
Ooh, I see what you did there, and I like it.
There. Jay Kiefer, firefighter extraordinaire, podcast extraordinaire, is going to present us with Robert Fisher, firefighter, family annihilator.
So I came on to this topic with talking with Eric and bring up some weird fireman stuff to the Failure to Stop platform. So I found this guy, and Robert William Fisher was born in 1961, and I was trying to figure out exactly what fire department he worked for, and I could not come up with that. But he ended up having a back injury, so he ended up getting into the medical field and had a family, and we're gonna dive into it. But so fireman part comes into with Eric for there.
Okay.
So we end up finding out that this guy ended up killing his wife and 2 children, and then setting the house on fire. So as I was digging into all this. So he was a Navy veteran, and then he married a lady named Mary Cooper in 1987. So he had 2 children, Bobby and Brittany, not the chess guy, Bobby Fischer. So to give the quick synopsis, and then we'll dig into it. But April 10th, which I thought it was kind of fitting, just because here we are, April 11th. April 10th, 2001, their family's house exploded.
What?
So I got to watch a documentary the other day as I was researching this, and it was kind of funny watching all of these. There's been a couple other cold case people, such as Andrea, that have dug into this, and there's one on YouTube, and I started watching it, and he kept him like he was the alpha male, like the typical first responder, police officer, firefighter, typical alpha. So whenever like family gatherings, you start to grab onto behaviors and whatnot. All of his friends, his family, they said, his wife never really talked a bunch when they were around, when the children were around. He was really in tune with his kids, but he was the guy.
Right.
Wife never talked.
Yeah. Better seen than heard, pitch. Right, Andrea?
And that's kind of where I thought that was
right, Andrea? You know how that goes, huh?
So, I don't know whether I should wait for a reaction or not.
I'm sorry. I don't have a voice at this table.
Well played. Hey, speaking of which, look at this picture right here. That is a beautiful family. Andrea, do you miss having a family like that? Didn't you used to?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
You guys
don't do it. But a lot of this goes back into to Robert Fisher's history in the fact that he came from what seemed to be a normal 60s, early 60s into 70s life. Father was a banker, mom was stay at home, and he had 2 sisters, but his parents divorced, and apparently his sisters had, in interviews since his disappearance, have said like that completely screwed him up.
Yeah.
So as he goes through life, and then he meets Mary, they end up having some marital issues. Okay. He steps out a little bit.
Right. Steps out like gets his own place, or
no, like steps out like out of the marriage as far as little
like
not with Mary.
Oh, like gets him a little side gig?
Yeah, a little side check.
A little side piece.
So he ends up, but with his back injury getting out of the fire service, he ends up he goes to the gym, and he always liked to get massages. Well, he would hang out at massage parlors.
Oh, fucking this guy.
Shocker.
God, dude. Why is it? It's always the toxic dudes that want those fucking hand J massages. I swear.
The hand J massage.
I'm serious, man. It's like, it's part of the thing. It's like, if you're one of those like weird, like jock alpha weirdos kind of guys, like those motherfuckers love their little jerk massages.
They're like, oh, happy ending. What? So he would frequent after the gym. He would frequent this massage parlor. Ended up meeting somebody, banging one out, doing whatever he did.
Okay.
So he goes and tells his wife that he stepped out because they were somewhat involved in the church.
That's noble.
So
I know that
he comes clean with it.
Whenever I cheat on my wife, I feel real bad. That's why I know I'm in love with my wife, because I feel bad every time I cheat on her.
So there were a lot of issues in the household. So the synopsis before we go dig into it, a neighbor the night before the house exploded heard a big fight, a big argument around 10 o'clock. He is seen on camera at an ATM at 10:40, and everything that I've read and all of the investigations. Everybody was kind of confused on the dollar amount. He withdrew $280. So back then in 2001, I don't know if they changed the amount of money you can get out of an ATM at one time. 280 seems weird to me.
No, because you can pretty much only get in sums of 20, right?
So right before I came down here, I pulled 400 out, and that was easy.
Right, but if you went into pour 400, I got it.
Yeah, it's an even number.
Yeah, but like you couldn't pull like 281.
But 280 seems weird. That just seems like a very odd amount to me. And everyone else that I've, some of the documentaries
very
I've watched.
Specific.
Yeah, very specific.
Yeah.
But he's seen 40 minutes later after.
No one's ever been able to place why.
Yeah. So like they hear this fight and then 40 minutes later, he's getting $280 out. That's the last time he's ever been seen. Was that picture, that picture from that ATM.
Oh man.
It's the last time he's ever been seen.
That's crazy.
The other weird part is he's driving his wife's 4Runner, which all the neighbors had said he typically does not drive that car. He drives that truck that in the picture that Eric just had.
Right, because driving a 4Runner is kind of like a little bitch car. It's like a bitch car. It's like a girl's version of a Jeep.
So
am I right, Andrea? Right, like isn't the 4Runner kind of a chick car?
I'm not talking to you.
Well, you have a 4Runner, don't you?
It's a really cool car.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool car too for girls. It's like Eclipses. Remember back in 2001 they had the Mitsubishi Eclipses? Like those were cool cars too, but not if you're a dude.
It is not even close.
That's why I'm waiting for the reactions. So anyway,
it's like the Bud Light of SUVs.
That's good.
That's cute. Keep it up.
That was good.
So he's seen driving her car. So he disappears. Well, then at I can't remember exactly what time, 8:40 or 8 o'clock in the morning. The next morning, after he's seen at the ATM, the house explodes. So it is. I mean, it's in a neighborhood, in a cul-de-sac. I mean, houses, just any typical neighborhood. It's not like they were out rural, country area. House explodes. Firemen are, doing their thing. Put the fire out. Well, as they're digging through all the, doing their salvage and overhaul, they find 3 bodies.
Oh. So
one of which, well, he's got 2 children. Yeah, and Eric's got the pictures up. It's this house. I mean, it was, and the video. There's some video out there that I've seen, and it was. I mean, it's pretty impressive. But as they're digging through, they find 2 children and an adult. Well, the one documentary that I was watching, the son Bobby, you could tell like he was laying on his side, but they were all in bed. That's a big key. They were all in bed.
Now, was it the explosion that kills them, or is it the fire that kills them?
So glad you brought that up. So they're all in bed. Mary had missed some school function that she normally always makes, but it was earlier in the evening. So that's kind of in question as to why she missed it. But I think, they were fighting a bunch. They were having a big argument throughout the evening, and it just exploded at 10, no pun intended. But they were all in bed. They find once they discover the bodies, both of the children were almost decapitated.
Oh,
throat slit from front to vertebrae. And then when they find Mary, her throat is slit as well, but also she's got a bullet hole in her head.
Oh.
And they find a bullet fragment. So this guy this Robert is a avid hunter, outdoorsman, quote unquote survivalist, whatever that term is, sure. Whatever you deem a survivalist, but
probably a MAGA Republican. Survival people that like to survive.
So he's got a ton of guns. They end up retrieving guns out of the house, but there's one gun that's missing, and it's a handgun, and it matches the caliber to the fragment that they find in Mary's head. So in this documentary that I was watching, in this research, his buddy and his wife worked for friends of theirs in their office, and they would go camping, 4-wheeling, out in the country, in Arizona. Well, he had said something to his friend / neighbor that, hey, we need to come back out here. I like this place. And Robert had said to their friend, their friend, neighbor, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna be back out here
Ever.
even
if I kill my wife.
And he thought it was weird, like after the fact. Obviously, when he's getting interviewed, he was like, I thought it was the strangest thing.
Yeah.
Well, so then all this happens. Well, so 10 days go on. So they're looking for the car. They didn't find a fourth body.
Hang on. I gotta just slow down really fast here.
Okay.
We're moving fast. How did the house explode?
So Robert had disconnected the gas line to the furnace, and then lit a candle.
Oh.
So he had a long awaiting wick, essentially.
Right. Is that normal in true crime, Andrea? Do we have other cases like that?
No, frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen.
She's frozen.
She's frozen in time. Now, do you learn that in fire school?
We definitely don't learn that. We learn that in arson investigation school.
Okay. Andrea, were you able to hear me on that one? Does that happen? What's that?
No, I didn't. What did you say?
Okay. I said, do we have that happen a lot in true crime? Does that, like, people lighting candles and like ripping the gas hose off of a stove and then lighting a candle? Do we have other cases like that, or that you know of?
And what happened? Crime. You guys are breaking up on my end.
Well, anyway, we're past it. But if you do figure it out, I was just wondering if there's other true crimes out there where they did the same type of explosion using gas, like natural gas. But I think our internet's too choppy between the two of us, so we'll just keep going.
So, okay, I apologize that I didn't hear your question. One thing though, if you find a question,
yeah, we can't hear you. We heard the So I'm so sorry. I think it's because we're both using internet.
I was saying that
Man, it's every time I think she's getting it.
Right, I know. It's like right when she's
hanging,
like right there. Somebody in the chat said Jay Galt's great.
Is that he pulled
hours
and hours and lit a candle.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take a little bit of time for that natural gas to accumulate to an ignitable concentration.
How big of an explosion does that cause? Enough to fucking kill you, or?
Oh yeah, I mean it could level a house. Yeah,
okay. We don't have gas. Like, we don't really run a lot off gas here.
So I mean it does take a little bit to accumulate, but then once it does, the 10 hours to me is a little bit off. Like, it's just weird,
right?
Because that's a long time, man. It's a lot of gas accumulation in a house,
right?
But the way it seems is when they did the autopsies on all these 3 bodies, none of them had soot in their lungs, in their nose. So that shows us
they were dead.
They were dead before the house exploded,
which is really fucked up, because I cannot fathom for 1 second slitting my kids' throats.
Absolutely not.
Like, that is unhinged.
And to go, like, in the way they described it, like, to almost decapitate them. I mean, it's one thing to just slit your throat and cut, you're getting your carotids and you're bleeding out.
Yeah.
But to go all the way down to where they were almost all decapitated is sadistic as hell.
Yeah. And like, you wonder, like, what kind of drugs were involved beforehand, like,
so it's like, one of the things, like, going back,
because I would have to be super fucked up,
right?
Like, to do some shit like that.
But to go back, like, into his history with his parents getting divorced, and that's why that was a big thing, was he had said, like, divorce is never going to be an option. So his wife catches him stepping out. He comes back. She kicks him out for a couple days. He goes and camps.
Yeah.
Clear his head. She clears her head. He comes back and he says, "Hey, I'm going to do right, whatever." And this was, like, I think a week before. And then all of a sudden, now here we are. He lost his shit and ends up slitting their throats, shooting her, and then blowing the house up. What doesn't make sense to me as well on the arson investigator side of it is if you're going to try to cover up a crime, you've got to be there. You've got to have an alibi. You've got to be there somewhere outside of an ATM video or camera, still picture. I don't know if he was just dumb enough to think that like his body, like all the bodies were going to be burned beyond recognition but you're still going to have 3.
Right.
You're still missing somebody and you're missing a vehicle. So this cat ends up going out into the wilderness.
Yeah.
And I cannot remember exactly how many miles away it was.
Right.
But they found her Forerunner on Young's Road in Young's, Arizona, which a place that he frequented. So with that, there's a ton of caverns and stuff.
It was about 100 miles away.
100 miles.
There
okay, thank you.
Damn.
Yeah, she's back.
Yeah, she's
Sweet.
back.
See, I knew I need some help.
She fucking knows all the details too.
That's perfect.
That's why she is the queen, dude. True crime queen.
Queen of true crime.
TCQ is what she's got tattooed under her left arm. True crime queen.
I can't say. I thought it was a shoulder. No, so he drives out, but he took their family dog with him.
Okay.
So he takes a dog, kills his kids,
fucking
kills his dog.
I fucking hate this whole.
Kills his kids, takes the dog. Yeah, the wife, she's in bed, whatever. The dog is found in that 10-day period that went through when the officials get there. A hiker ended up seeing the vehicle and, calls it in. The dog is like underneath the car, obviously hungry, thirsty, still alive.
Wow.
But he just left the dog. Well, there were a ton of caverns in that area. So, like, some of the hypotheses are that he lived, he went into the caverns.
Also, not to interrupt you.
No, do it, please.
No, I was just going to say they found human excrement beside the passenger door on the ground as well.
So he took a big, healthy shit.
Well, that was an adrenaline dump, no doubt. You know what I mean? I talk about it in my book a bunch, but like oftentimes when people commit crimes, they take a shit right afterwards. And I put various instances of people who stab somebody and then literally shit on the sidewalk right afterwards. It's adrenaline dump, dude. That's what they call it. Some people throw up, some people,
Sympathetic response is what that's called.
Oh, is that the medical firefighter term?
That's the paramedic term.
Fucking the non-bitch term, as cops call it, is a adrenaline dump.
Adrenaline dump.
Yeah, adrenaline dump.
That sounds like you're Annihilator.
Annihilator.
But yeah, so some of the hypotheses are that he hid out in these caves, and some of the caves were never like mapped out at that point back in 2001. They've since been mapped out, but this documentary that I watched, like this reporter like went in with these quote unquote spelunkers. Throw that wherever you want. I can't spell it, but
I know what a spelunker is.
But they went into these caves and they're like, hey, would somebody be able to survive here? Well, there was water because they had water dripping down through the soil. They said, yeah, you could. He's a hunter, so he could have hunted and got food.
All he has is a pistol.
Could make a fire. And they said, there's enough oxygen in here and it wouldn't create too much carbon monoxide with the airflow. Yeah, he totally could have made fires and you would have never known, up above ground, there was even a fire there.
Right.
So whether you hid out there or not, there's some other, he's been cited, quote unquote, cited.
People think like he's like Bigfoot at this point.
Somebody, a couple was driving up a road, that Young's Lane or Young's Road, and right a couple days after the car was found, they thought that they saw him. So, but they didn't say anything. They went home. And Andrea, if you read any of this that I'm missing a little bit, just chime in. But couple days after they got home, they realized, hey, this guy's missing. Wow. Like they're looking for him.
Yeah.
And the wife was like, oh my God, I saw him. Well, would have been useful a couple days earlier, probably.
And he's a handsome man, so like I don't think if a woman saw him, she'd forget very soon.
Probably not.
It's a good
yeah, exactly. There have been. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay, so I'm interrupting. But there have been multiple sightings over the years, or quote, people think that they've seen him, or people who strongly resemble his physical features. Were you going to speak on the one that happened in Vancouver, or no?
Yeah, I was going to go there next.
The guy in Canada that was actually behind bars.
Yeah, so one of the sightings they got out of Vancouver, Royal Canadian Mounted Police had somebody that they thought, and there's a lot of discord between that because it was one municipality versus Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and I'm not familiar with Canada and how their policing works, but when this documentary, when they reached out, they were like, hey, go to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And then they directed them back to this little municipality. But anyway, there was a guy that was locked up that had a scar on his back from a back surgery that he had. Wow. I'm trying to think. There was one other thing that, like, it was, he was missing this Robert had a gold tooth. Like, one of his bicuspids was a gold tooth. This guy was missing that tooth, that same tooth. So it was one of those, they thought it was him. They reached out, and the Scottsdale investigators went up there. It ended up with fingerprints. They ended up figuring out that it wasn't him, but they're like, well, we don't know necessarily. Like, this one investigator is not convinced that it wasn't him. Okay. But they didn't have enough to hold him.
But, like, how do you fake fingerprints?
Well, that I don't know. That's your police job.
So you can. It would be injury. It would be burning. There's a few different ways you can alter your fingerprints. It's possible. To do, but the investigators have come back to. They've come back to say that there is no evidence that his fingerprints were altered. Right. But there are still people who, even with that information, we talked about confirmation bias in our last episode about, when you get it in your head that you kind of want this to be the case, or you want this to be the suspect, it's easy to make a case for it. Coincidences that this guy's tooth and back scar, it's not uncommon for someone to be missing a tooth. It's not necessarily uncommon for someone to have a scar on their back from surgery. And it just happened to line up, and it was a coincidence. But there are definitely still people who are in the camp that, that was that guy.
I mean, there was nobody like at the camp of this motherfucker went to one of those caves and shot himself in the face.
There's a few. I mean, they're like, yeah, he probably killed himself, and nobody's ever going to find his remains. But, and one question I was going to ask, I mean, you were in Raleigh and not rural Arizona, but body remains end up showing up somehow, some way. Hiker, just like the hiker finding the car. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around it, and that's just my personal opinion, that he offed himself and just decomposed somewhere.
Well, it's like beyond me that the dog wouldn't go with him wherever he went.
And with the car, like the dog laying underneath the car, all the windows were down. The car was clean. There were pine needles in the car, but like because the windows were down. Right. So what they're thinking is he left the dog in the car, windows down. Hey, I'm not gonna let you. Right. I don't know what the temperature was, in April in Arizona, because I've never been, but he wasn't going to leave the dog to die, but going to leave the dog to die, essentially. Right. Fend for yourself, be a dog.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So there's a lot of like just little things like this that in this story that were kind of triggering me. Like, why? If you're going to kill your family, but you're going to take your dog.
Yeah. So
kill the fucking dog. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna, again, I apologize if I'm saying something you've already touched on, but in terms of that he had committed suicide, quite a few people feel that way. And the reason they do is because he is one that prior to the event had starting, you spoke on it, Keith, earlier about how he was controlling, and we know this kind of to be true, but he had, there was talk that he had attempted suicide at some point, and that he at least sent a few of his friends and some of his family in the camp that they could see him committing suicide before he allowed a divorce to take place. And he had said things like, "You'd be better off without me," and these kinds of things. And so the people who think that he did commit suicide, one of the theories is that in one of those cave systems, which, like you touched on, many of them had not been mapped out. So some people think hid out in a cave, at least for a little while, hunted, trapped, whatever, and then potentially committed in the cave, which if it's one that's not yet been explored, could be why his remains were not found. If that's, that's what some people have said.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I don't know. Even in 2001, it's pretty hard to just fucking disappear.
And that's where my head is.
I mean, where you're gonna get, it's getting money's gonna be hard to do. ATMs are gonna be hard to do. Those cops, those detectives. Scottsdale, Arizona is not a very small fucking place.
And so, like, and that's like you said, getting money is going to be hard. So that's where that $280.
Yeah, you would take it all.
That's such a weird number to me. And if you have your 401ks, all that stuff, none of that was touched. Whatever retirements that they had, none of that was touched.
Right.
So
I mean,
I'm not bailing town on 200. I didn't come here with less than $400.
You have $400, bitch?
Not anymore. You're taking me all these expensive places. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Fancy, dude. I took him to Jones Cafe, dude. Shout out Jones Cafe.
$14 lunch, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, fucking right, great. Dude. $14. How much tip did you leave? That's a lot of money, dude.
Jill paid. So.
I fed all 5 of my kids for $14.
Jill paid.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're gonna not kill yourself, I think you're.
Drew said you can live off of $280.
You can live off of $280. Not in $2001.
Off in a cave.
In a cave,
now
sure.
In a cave.
Yeah, in a cave. Yeah, the $280 maybe. I mean, gas money.
That's the only thing I could figure out.
I mean, what was gas in 2001?
Definitely not what it is now.
You know what I mean?
And like Andrea said, it was roughly 100 miles. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So one of the theories, also, this is what his neighbor or his friend that you spoke on, where his wife went to work with, but I forget the woman's name, but the couple that were friends of theirs that Mary worked with, right? She was an employee of theirs. They did an interesting thing where with the guy, I believe the guy in Canada actually that we spoke about a minute ago that had, was missing the tooth and had the back scar. It's unprecedented, and had the neighbor come to the police station talking to an officer while they brought this guy out of holding so that they could see each other to try to get just a very organic reaction from that guy. And the guy that is there, no, excuse me, it wasn't the coworker, it was the neighbor. It was one of the neighbors who doesn't really want to be on camera. He has talked to people. Yeah. He doesn't want his name and face out there. But he lived next to this couple to Mary and Robert for years and years. And he maintains that when they made eye contact, that there was no doubt about it. He still maintains that is his neighbor that he saw. Who's to say?
That's huge. And that's huge. In my opinion, that's huge. Somebody, if your neighbors.
Right. But then the facts still don't add up. So it's very bizarre. Like, they talked about when he was hunting, how he would take pictures and just have pictures of the blood. Like, it was more ritualistic rather than the kill. It was like him removing organs or just rubbing like elk blood on his face. And I don't know. I was going to touch on something else that's lost me now. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I thought that was interesting about the neighbor.
That's crazy, man. It makes me want some of that outbound beef jerky.
That's a great segue.
Outbound beef jerky.
No, it's with the hunting aspect of it. If you're not into hunting or haven't been into hunting, like, I mean, typically if you get your first kill, like whoever takes you out will like take a little bit.
Yeah, first kill.
On your face. Yes, first kill. But this guy was an avid hunter, and they said that he was just sadistic as shit. with all these guys to where they looked
Like-
at the guy that brought him like, dude, what is this guy's deal?
They're like, yo, dude, you only do that on your first kill. Like,
Yeah.
not every fucking time. Like, dude's like painting himself all up. He's like, whoa, look at me. He's like getting inside of it.
Looking like
Remember Freddie got
like-
fingered?
he looks like Last of the Mohicans coming out of there.
He got his blood wings. and
So
it's
I
like-
mean, like the survivalist aspect of it, and again, I said it before, like depends on what your term is as a survivalist. I mean, I'm definitely not. I'm not a
I'm wiping the
survivalist.
fucking blood on my face.
I could go. I mean, I could go out and camp for a couple of days, but I want my bed at some point. I want something creature comforts. But he's been seen, like supposedly, quote unquote, been seen Guatemala. There was a UK sighting of this guy, and just I mean, to me, like that's all random. I think
Like Elvis.
like exactly.
Yeah.
Elvis is still alive.
It's crazy that people like know this story as far out as like the UK and
Exactly.
Guatemala.
So-
that was the other thing that kind
Well,
of
he
I
was
never
on
heard
the
this story.
top 10.
He was.
yeah,
He was on
a
FBI's top 10 most wanted for years and years and
Oh
years.
shit.
he got
Um,
pulled off.
And I
When did he
just
get pulled off.
recently. It was
Yeah.
very recently. I feel like. So he was replaced with I think a terrorist of some sort.
November
So-
3rd of 21.
He was replaced with some parent at a school board meeting.
Yulan Adane Archaga Carayas.
Yeah.
And he's a MS-13 out of Honduras.
Oh, that's
Oh,
what it
dude.
was. That's what it was.
He got replaced by an MS-13 member. You should be ashamed of yourself.
So
Dude, some of the FBI photos that he's got in his little grandma notes, he's like you, Andrea. He's one of the pictures that the FBI has of this dude that he might potentially look like is a picture of him with a mullet, and it cannot be unseen.
Here, I'll find this.
I'll find it on here. Just keep talking.
Okay, listen.
I'll download it.
yeah, another it just occurred to me what I was going to say a minute ago, but the guy Herb that his wife that Mary worked with, the deceased worked with, they're friends and they had been friends for years and years. I know we talked about their children played together, their daughters were best friends, they knew each other very well. So Herb says, and forgive me, just tell me if you already touched on this, I don't believe you did, that he meaning Robert, the suspect, had been speaking with people at the Rye Bar. It's a bar in Rye, Arizona, outside of Scottsdale, where this took place. Did you talk about this? Did I miss it?
I hadn't hit
Okay,
on that
okay.
yet. So perfect.
Okay. Well, and I don't want to
No,
step over you
keep
here,
going.
but yeah. So he had gone to this bar, Rye Bar, RYE, like think bread, like that's the name of the bar, and inquired about roads. If you were on a motorcycle, this was kind of a biker bar. So if you are hypothetically on a motorcycle, what do the roads look like to get from his residence or around that area in Scottsdale to this part of Arizona? And so people told him, like, yeah, basically there's all service road, like there are a few roads like you wouldn't be seeing really, it's not really a highway, but he did it in a way that was, innocuous. Like I don't think anybody suspected, anything to come from it. So his good friend, the Herb guy that his wife worked with, he now maintains, of course, all of this everything is speculation, right? Anything is a hypothesis. It's all theory. No one knows anything. But he seems to think at this point that Robert had in fact bought a motorcycle because he had talked about bikes. He had started talking more about motorcycles. And he thinks that Robert actually had a motorcycle and he put it in the 4Runner, or had actually, in a date prior, stashed it up there in the woods where they found the 4Runner about 100 miles away. And they think he might have headed out toward Rye, like toward that area at some point.
I feel like there would have been a lot of evidence. Like
There would be
evidence,
tire tracks. Potentially, but I mean, who's to say? I don't think he was a bit controlling. He could have had cash or funds that she didn't know about. He could have purchased something in cash for that matter, something cheap, something enough to get away.
And with part of that, like there was a junkyard or something close to that bar that he was like kind of looking around. It was like a motorcycle junkyard that's not open. It wasn't open
So does he take the girl, like the girl that got his hand job from in the massage parlor, and throw her on the back? And he's like, "Tonight we ride. Dude.
Let's go, sweetie.
You might ride or die, because you'll fucking die if you don't want to ride, bitch."
No.
So then there was another
No,
hypothesis
also-
with that same bar that this old man came in a place next to the bar. I'm sorry, a little deli or produce stand where Cherry Park or whatever, Cherry Park produce stand, whatever it was called, I can't remember. But this old guy walks in and sees one of these mugshots and was like, "Why is my friend's picture here?" And when the clerk like questioned it, she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" She was like, and this guy was like, "That's my friend. Like, he lives with me. He didn't do anything."
Oh shit!
But then immediately, like, he had a handler with him. He was an old man. Had a handler with him.
Yep.
He was like, "We got to go. We're leaving." So then, like, but there's a bunch of ranches
Yep.
around that area.
Yeah.
So no way to find anybody that's staying necessarily on. I mean, with as many ranches that are there, and again, very confusing to me.
Right. Well, ranches and reservation. I forget the name of it, but there was a specific reservation, Indian reservation there, and there. But police did not. No one investigated. No one went to the reservation to speak with people who lived there. So
yeah,
there
but
was
the
actually a
fucking
set
Indians
of
on the
prints.
Indian reservation hate white people, especially back in 2001. So
Okay.
good luck on that.
Okay. Well, but my point is they didn't investigate. So there are footprints that lead kind of from around the area that the Forerunner was found toward the reservation and kind of stop. Now, I will say in the brief time I've had to look into this case, the detectives now that will speak from that documentary that Keith was talking about earlier, I think that was made in 2011. They were very forthcoming and it was very, very honest to say, like, were there mistakes made? Are there things we wish we would have done now? Sure. Like they're very honest to say, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? And I wish we would approach this way or that way. And so they're very, in my opinion, pretty trustworthy in that sense. Like nobody, they're not indignant about anything, but there are a few things like that. Like if you got prints from the Forerunner toward the reservation, like, and no one was spoken to there either. There are quite a few like near misses when it comes to this, because there were so many things, like you mentioned earlier, like we saw that guy, but it was like a few days later. There were a lot of those that happened like in the immediate time frame that some time went by, 6, 8, 10, 12 days.
Just like an argument with a girlfriend, like, "Oh, I should have said that. Oh, I can't say it now."
Yeah.
Right. This is like where in the world is Robert Fisher, Family Annihilator?
I know.
Carmen Sandiego, I like it. Good reference.
Thank you. 2001 is when that came out. That song.
Definitely wasn't.
It was. Now, I guess we'll get to the theory portion of the show. My theory is
this whole show is theory.
Yeah, but now it's personal theories. Okay, woman.
Okay.
Woman.
Oh, fucking turn the stove on. Get it ready.
Just make sure the gas line's connected.
Unhook the gas line. Unhook the gas line, Andrea, and we'll take care of you. My personal theory is he shot himself somewhere in a cave. That's my theory. What's your theory, Andrea?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all. Based on his history and like his psychological history, we don't have it any diagnosis that I know of. Tell me if we do, but based on just what he's said over the years to people and the way he conducted himself and the fact that he would, kind of threaten suicide. I don't know. He was, I think, kind of a bit of a controlling narcissist personality, which sometimes wouldn't want to commit suicide.
Sure.
But yeah, I think he did what he set out to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did, in fact, commit suicide later. And it wouldn't. The only way that would work if it was in one of those caves, I think, that we wouldn't have found the remains yet or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. What
about you, Keith?
I mean, I get the suicide theory, right? So you kill your family, but you take your dog, which supposedly was one of his first loves, whatever. But then you hit the point like, okay, I've got nothing else. So that is very plausible. But again, pulling in the narcissism to it, most narcissists don't. They're not going to give the satisfaction. So that hangs me up. But I think
there you go. He's not going to give you the satisfaction of knowing where the fuck he's at.
But if he hasn't,
go way out in this motherfucking cave,
right,
till this flashlight runs out of battery.
But if he hasn't been found,
and then I'm going to shoot myself in the head.
He's quote unquote been seen, but nothing's been confirmed. I mean, I think honestly, I think he had to have.
Maybe he is Lazaro Lopez. Speaking of, he grew out his mullet and started driving for NASCAR. I do have the picture of the FBI watch list for you guys. Andrea, I'd also like to know, which Robert William Fisher are you most attracted to?
Oh my gosh. Can I say, oh my gosh.
You like the bald John Travolta? Oh you like the Fast and the Furious rest in peace before he burned it up?
I can't even pick one because he creeps me the hell out. And he has since I looked into this. His original picture, his eyes. Oh my gosh.
His Adam's apple. There's no way he went as a chick. There's no way that bitch went trans.
Well,
I don't like his top lip and I don't like his eyes.
You ever sucked on a dude's Adam's apple?
Oh my gosh. What the hell's wrong with you?
I just feel like if my Adam's apple was that big, I'd want a girl to suck on it.
You think you need to?
Be like, hey, girl, put your mouth on my Adam's apple.
Look at this other appendage I have on my body.
Fucking huge, dude. I've never seen
one like some light and shadow there.
You are not wrong.
He does look kind of like a NASCAR driver, though. He does look like a bald.
He looks like a murderer. Look at his eyes and that top lip. Like I can't. Ooh.
I'm sure there's probably other pictures of him, like this one right here, like this beautiful family picture.
He looks creepy there. He looks like a murderer in that picture.
Yeah, but she looks like a fucking 2 at best.
And it's definitely not good.
You know what I mean? Like he's much better looking than her.
But just like
he's not.
Any neighbor in some crazy crime scene. Oh, well, I mean, he kept to himself. He seemed like a really nice guy.
Like, dude, I don't know. And she looks homely.
Meanwhile, he almost decapitated his family. Oh, he's great.
Well,
great guy.
His yard was always mulched.
Maybe his family should have been better. Better kids made better grades.
Just do better, sir.
He went and had to kill himself. I'm always going to take the man side. That is fucked up, though, man. I can't think of a single reason that I would slit my children's throats. It's 0 reasons. Like, if I was going to kill my kids.
Thanks for saying that out loud.
I felt like I needed to. If I was going to kill my kids, though, I would just get it quick, dude. That's like Robert Murdoch. Like, why fucking. Dude, I don't know. I just couldn't do it.
Alec,
there's no way I could fucking do it. I mean, Alec, yeah. By the way, saw him. I saw Alec Murdoch. I think I sent you a picture.
Oh, I know. I saw that. Was it the group text you put that in?
Yeah, I ran into him in Valley Cruces, North Carolina. He was sitting behind a shoe rack. I went up and asked him, I was like, dude, anybody ever tell you that you look like fucking Robert Murdoch or Alec Murdoch? And he was like, yeah, I don't know who that is, but like you're like the 3rd or 4th person that's told me that. Most people say I should dress as him for Halloween. I was like, damn.
How do you not know who that is at this point?
Damn. I mean, the kid was in college, Those college kids, they only. If he was a transvestite, they'd know who he is.
Dye your hair red, dress as Buster.
That's what he looked like. Yeah. But wasn't Buster's real name Robert?
He did look like him.
Yeah, he did look like Buster.
Probably. I don't know.
But anyway, man, that was you did good, man. For what's up? Good for
it's not important. I'm looking for the picture.
For a firefighter, you did a great job.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity.
I was most shocked about the story, shockingly enough, it wasn't the murder of a man's child and his wife. But what shocked me the most about this case was that you were able to read it. Wasn't aware that you guys were good at reading like that.
Words are hard.
And but you did an excellent job. Stick to your day job. Stick talking about whatever it is the fuck y'all talk about. I'm more and I'm out of here.
We'll try.
You guys have some banger guests.
It's a great show. Anything and everything.
Great show. I love that you guys got a new YouTube channel. Pumped for you guys on that. And you'll be here tomorrow night for the meetup and the Q&A afterwards at the distillery. At the studio. We'll be at the distillery at Instill Distilling Company from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. And then we'll be just on the road at the studio from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. with all sorts of fun goodies and drinky poos and snacky poos. And there is one of the Wolfpack fans, I believe his name is Rob, sticking his breast up to the window of the studio right now. And there's a picture that can't be unseen, nor do I want to unsee.
Definitely not unseen. Oh, God.
That was, he has a huge areola. I'm going to be, go ahead. Yeah, you could put it over there. See if he puts it back up. Scan that camera right around there. Oh, he's walking away. No, go ahead. Put that camera over there. Everybody ignore the rest of the studio. Nope, he's running away. All right, guys. Hey, until next time. Until tomorrow, actually. Guns up and giddy up. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Thanks for everybody for being here. Lázaro Lopez,
Thank you
Jill
so much.
Billy, David J, Fulcanator. Talk to cool dude as always. Mare 530. Carly, isn't there a movie called Hi Carly? I don't know.
I think it was a TV show.
Carly says they all look a little off. Carly, come on, girl, come on. Hit it or quit it. Robert Fisher before he murdered his family. Quickly. Hit it or quit it. Robert before he murdered his family. Micah says multiply the length by the width to figure out the areola. Guys, great job tonight. Seth Dunlop says he was referring to me. He didn't put a name on there, so we can just assume that it was. She says quit it. Carly says quit it. Wow, prude. Damn, she's got standards, man. But well, we appreciate it, Carly. We appreciate your honesty.
I can't thank you enough for allowing the one more amount of here guys to come in here, your area.
This guy looks like Scan the Kid. Looks like he's like in prison.
He actually should
Look
be.
at this, Andrea. Look at this. Turn the camera up. Zoom in on the window. Keep going. Look at this. This is what we're dealing with right now.
Can't see.
And this
You
is
can't
what,
see that.
this is what
Oh
I
my
deal
gosh.
with. This is what I deal with every podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Look at this. Oh,
You're welcome.
Here they all come.
God.
Here they all come. Keep
That's
scanning
terrifying.
over there. Oh gosh, they're everywhere.
But
It's
failure to
another-
stop people, I thank you so much for allowing me to come on and then also, embracing us and
Abby Ellsworth
helping us out.
is in the chat
You
on
guys
Being
are
a
the
Police
best.
Officer podcast. Thanks, Abby. Wish you were
Hey,
here.
Abby.
It's a great podcast meetup.
Oh,
We're-
let me
we're
say
good.
something to Abby. Hey,
Go ahead. Go ahead. You can say whatever you want.
yeah, no. So the case that you sent over that you were interested in, I was going to do it tonight. So I'm going to do that next week. So we'll be talking all about that.
Oh.
The little boy. She'll know what I'm talking about.
Andrea always likes talking about little boys.
Sorry, I was like Forrest Gump and ruined the Black Panther party.
You always ruin everything, Jake. You're a firefighter. That's what you do.
That's
Fucking
what
ruin
That's
lives.
what I hear.
You ruin lives, and they still give you hugs. I actually wrote that in my book. I think there's like one sentence where it's like a firefighter can go to a house, spray it down with a bunch of foamy white shit, ruining everything inside of the house, just destroying it. And the family will be like, "Thank you guys so much
Factual.
for coming out." And a
That
police
is so-
officer can show up and like mediate an entire, like save a marriage and like keep the children together or whatever, and we're still the asshole. It's like, I'm not hating on you. I'm just a little bit jealous.
And this is why we need to have a podcast, like an episode of those types of things.
We can do it on our Patreon account. If you want
Yes,
to sign up for our
let's
Patreon
do it.
account,
I
you
love
can.
it.
Is it
Love
up right live? Dead Like Media? It's not live. When's it going live, dude?
Beta live.
Dude, live tonight. You want to get on the Patreon? That shit will be live sometime tonight. So take a look out there.
Get to
That's going to
work.
be where all
Get to
the
work.
other interviews. I think Drew Breezy had an episode today that he interviewed somebody. It's going up on there. He interviewed a dude that was at the Las Vegas shooting.
Oh, that'd be super interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good thing, man. Because the FBI, I would talk about it tomorrow, so I won't spoil it. But the FBI did put out their motive. I'm not buying it. Not buying their fucking motive. The motive was that he was angry at the hotels for not giving him the high rollers. No,
I read that as well. I don't.
Not
buy
a
it
chance,
either.
dude. Not a chance. You don't go and shoot up a bunch of concert goers because you're upset about the fucking hotel.
Because you didn't get comped enough or enough buffet tickets.
No, not a chance.
Absolutely.
Nice try, FBI. Took you how many years is that? 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20,
I
21,
think-
22, 23, 7 years, and that's the best you got on that case? Fuck out of here, you losers.
Ridiculous.
Fuck out of here. We'll talk about that tomorrow, though, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So join us tomorrow at Last Call. All the other news that you need so that you don't sound like an asshole first responder to your civilian friends over the weekend, giving you something else to talk about other than dead babies and domestic violence. And actually, it's not just for first responders anymore. It's for all the true crime girls that don't have anything else to talk about other than dead babies and true crime. I'm going to give you some other news, give you a little bit more culture so that you fit in, Andrea, when you go down to the little pub in Wilmington. You're not just like, oh my God, I got these really awesome bones that belong to a crime scene that I just collected off the beach, and I'm doing my own forensics on it, and I'm going to solve the crime.
I'm bringing
myself.
this tomorrow.
Oh, gross.
I can't wait.
Fucking 50 Shades of.
I saw it
I'm bringing
on
them.
Instagram. I love it.
I'm bringing them.
Did you turn him into a dilly yet? Carve him into a little dilly?
You can thank John. He said to bring them, so I'm bringing them.
God, what a fucking.
It's weird. It had 2 hip bones.
When do we start listening to John? Like, when was that thing? It's like Patreon is already live. Holy shit. And he said there's already people that signed up.
Oh.
Damn, dude. We're growing. Look at us growing. One day we'll be able to afford internet for Andrea. It'll be like one of those what's the in the arms of an angel.
Oh, Sarah McLaughlin.
For $4, you too can provide internet for Andrea for 1 week.
30 cents a day.
All right. Good night, guys. Guns up and giddy up.